Planning to own a house cleaning business? You might want to think twice. Not because you shouldn't do it, it's because there's a real gap between what this looks like from the outside and what it actually costs. And that gap is exactly what this video is for. If you've seen this channel's commercial cleaning video, this is a genuinely different business, not the same one with a smaller mop. No competitive bidding wars, no franchise territory fees, no office buildings at midnight. Here's the part that actually surprises people. Residential cleaning typically runs 40 to 55% gross margin, meaningfully healthier than commercial cleaning's 30 to 45%. Skip the bidding wars, and the margin ceiling is higher. And yet, plenty of house cleaning businesses still lose money every single week. Not because demand is weak. Close to 10% of American households now pay for professional cleaning, and that number keeps climbing. They lose money because of one number almost every new owner prices off of by mistake. So what's the number? And why does getting it wrong quietly bankrupt a business with great margins available to it? That's what we're figuring out today. One quick note before the numbers start. Every figure in this video is well-researched and checked against multiple sources, but research can still contain honest mistakes, and costs and regulations shift by state, city, and sometimes zip code. Treat these as your benchmark, not a quote for your specific situation. This video is for educational purposes only and is not legal, tax, financial, or business advice. Always do your own research and due diligence before making any business decision. A second note, specific to this episode. Whether to classify cleaners as employees or independent contractors carries real legal and tax implications that vary by state and have been the subject of real enforcement action in this industry. This isn't legal or tax advice. Consult a professional about how to properly classify your workers before you hire anyone. The first cost, the one that stays refreshingly low compared to almost everything else on this channel, a truck, some supplies, and real insurance get you most of the way in. Startup costs here stay modest. A vehicle you likely already own, cleaning supplies, and basic marketing can realistically get a solo operator running for a few $1,000s. Insurance isn't optional, though. General liability coverage plus bonding commonly runs $500 to $1,500 a year, or $20 to $60 a month for a solo operator. Clients are letting a stranger into their home. No serious client skips asking whether you carry it. Scheduling software adds another $39 to $150 a month depending on team size, and it earns its keep fast once you're juggling more than a handful of recurring clients across a week. Vehicle costs are easy to underestimate too. At the current federal mileage rate of about 72.5 cents per mile, a modest 12-mile round trip to a client's home costs roughly $8.70 in vehicle expense alone, before you've touched a single surface. None of that is dramatic money. It's also not the number that decides whether this business survives its first year. The hidden trap, the one hiding inside a single word, loaded, the wage you pay a cleaner and the real cost of that cleaner are two very different numbers. The national mean wage for cleaning staff sits around $17.39 an hour, and most residential businesses pay somewhere between $15 and $22 an hour. That wage number is exactly what trips up new owners. The fully loaded cost of a cleaner, wage plus payroll taxes, workers' compensation, insurance, and paid time off, actually runs $22 to $46 an hour, depending on region and benefits offered. Price a job off the wage alone, and you'll quote confidently. You'll also quietly lose money on every single visit, because roughly half of the real labor costs never showed up in your math. Run a real job through the correct numbers. A standard 3-bedroom home, 3 hours, 2 cleaners, at a fully loaded rate of about $27 an hour, comes to $162.78 in labor alone. Add $12 in supplies, and the true cost of that job is $174.78 before you've earned a cent of profit. To hit a healthy 50% margin on that job, The minimum price needs to be $349.56. Quote anywhere close to the wage-only number instead, and that same job can lose money the moment you calculate what it costs to deliver. This is common enough that it has a name in the industry. Most cleaning businesses undercharge by 20 to 40%, simply by copying whatever a competitor charges instead of running their own real numbers. The real engine, the one that explains why residential margins can beat commercial ones, no bidding war means the operator who prices correctly gets to actually keep what the margin promises. So once labor is priced correctly, where does that healthier residential margin actually come from? The absence of a bidding war. Commercial contracts routinely get shopped against 3 or 4 competitors before anyone signs. Residential clients mostly don't do that. They pick a cleaner they trust and stay, often for years, as long as service stays consistent. That loyalty is exactly what lets flat-rate pricing work in this business's favor. Charge hourly for a first visit to learn the home honestly, then move the client to a flat rate for every recurring visit after that. A faster, well-trained team keeps the difference between the flat rate and the actual hours worked. Deep cleans and move-out cleans add real margin on top of standard recurring visits, commonly running 30 to 60% more than a standard clean, for meaningfully more thorough work that doesn't take proportionally longer with an experienced team. Stack recurring flat-rate clients with the occasional deep clean or move-out job, and a well-run residential operation can sit at that 40 to 55% gross margin consistently, something commercial operators fighting bid after bid rarely get to enjoy at the same scale. The real money in house cleaning. The wage was never the real labor cost, and the bidding war commercial operators fight was never here to begin with. Price off the loaded rate, quote flat, and this is one of the few businesses on this channel where the margin ceiling is genuinely better than its more corporate cousin. Run that $349.56 minimum price next to what homes in this category sell for, and the gap between doing the math and guessing becomes obvious. National average pricing for a standard clean sits around $180, with a broader range of $120 to $280 depending on market and home size. An owner pricing off wage alone, in a market with average rates, is quoting well under what the fully loaded math requires for a healthy margin on anything beyond the smallest, quickest homes. An owner who did the loaded rate math first knows exactly which jobs are profitable at the going market rate, and which ones need to be priced higher, turned down, or paired with a deep clean upsell to work. That's the entire gap between a cleaning business that looks busy and one that's actually profitable, whether the price came from a real cost calculation or from what the competitor down the street happens to charge. So let's run the 2 real outcomes. The optimistic case. You calculate your fully loaded labor rate before setting a single price, quote flat rates for recurring clients once you know the home, and layer deep cleans and move-out jobs on top of a steady recurring base. Margin holds in that 40 to 55% range the best-run residential businesses report, and a faster, well-trained team keeps the upside every time a flat-rate job takes less time than quoted. The realistic case. You price off what competitors charge or off the wage you pay, without adding taxes, insurance, and time off into the real cost, and quote hourly on every job instead of protecting margin with flat rates. Some jobs are quietly unprofitable from the day they're booked. Growth looks busy on the calendar and thin in the bank account, and every new recurring client at the wrong price makes the underlying problem bigger, not smaller. Same homes, same market, same cleaning supplies. The entire gap between those 2 outcomes comes down to whether the price was built from the real, loaded cost of labor or borrowed from whatever the business next door happened to charge. So is it worth it? If you're picturing a business where you just match the going rate and get busy, that instinct is exactly what quietly erases the better margin this business is capable of. What's true is that residential cleaning offers a genuinely accessible entry point with a real margin ceiling above its commercial counterpart, for owners willing to price off real numbers instead of guesses. For someone willing to calculate the loaded labor rate before quoting a single job and to move loyal clients to flat rate pricing once the home is known, this can be one of the more quietly profitable businesses on this channel. For someone pricing off the wage they pay and what the competitor down the street charges, a full calendar can still be a business slowly losing money, one underpriced visit at a time. Last reminder, labor costs, insurance requirements, and worker classification rules vary by state. This is not legal, tax, or business advice. If you're setting up payroll or classifying workers, that guidance should come from a qualified professional, not this video. Remember this, the mop was never the expensive part. The hour it takes to hold was. Price the real hour, not the wage on the paycheck, and the better margin this business offers stops being theoretical.